Peace, peace. Okay. So I wanted to do a little bit of looking into the notion of Malik Scott as a trainer for Deontay Wilder. I think that not enough analysis and critique and discussion is being had surrounding his contribution or lack thereof to Deontay Wilder in the aftermath of the performance that we've seen from him from the day of reckoning. I don't think enough discussion is going around on the several platforms that I've been looking into and just across the board on YouTube as far as the boxing community is concerned. And, the dialogue that's happening right now post the big event. I think that too many people are looking into just a one-dimensional aspect of the fight. So, because we are so stunned by what we saw from Deontay in that ring, I think that it's easily become accessible to us to just make him the scapegoat because he's the one that was performing. He's the one that we all support. He's the one that we know and love or love to hate. Whatever side you stand on, we are there to see Deontay Wilder. And because the performance was less than spectacular, we kind of hung him out to dry, particularly in a solo type of standpoint and viewpoint. But Deontay Wilder is a part of a team, and the team make up the results of one's performance in the ring. That's what you do as a fighter. You train. We know that. So hopefully I'm not talking to anybody who would have that go above their heads. You go to training camp for 6 to 8 weeks or more, to train with your team who are there to help you prepare for battle, who are there to help you get in shape, who are there to help you fill in the cracks, if there are any, to help you strategize and look at battle plans and all types of different things like that. So we know this as a boxing community, hopefully. So in knowing that, I think it's quite sinister, a narrative that is being permeated about in the boxing world right now as far as Deontay is concerned, because we are only looking at a third of the causer, which is Deontay Wilder. There's a whole team behind him and other men who are implementing tactics and remedies and all types of prescriptions to get him fit, to get him ready. And nobody is talking about the team. Nobody is talking about the men behind the man. And what's sinister to me about that is several things that come to mind. I guess the main one would be that I'll speak for myself, even though I was devastated, as I stated in my earlier observations in the other videos. Of course, I was devastated. I'm a Bomb Squad supporter and fan, and I was just torn down by what I saw, not seeing him, look good in the ring, all this, that, and the third. But I think that it's become too accessible, and over critique of Wilder and Wilder alone. Not that he should not be critiqued and analyzed because he should. But I believe that he and his team should be looked at very deeply when we talk about the constructive criticism, because hopefully it's to construct a better outcome the next time we see Wilder. And if we talk about that reconstruction that we would like and hope would take place if he were to, let's say, continue his career, if he were to fight the likes of AJ or rematch Parker or fight whoever in the future, then I think the talk should be to reconstruct what we saw as not being presented as the best foundation for Wilder. And in order to do that, we have to speak honestly about what we saw from him, yes, but we also have to look at the people around him, the elements around him. He is not just composed of himself. He's a composite of his experiences, of his skills, of his know-how, but he's also representing and he's also the implementation of what he's studying with the people that's teaching him, with the people that are fostering and providing an environment for him to kind of fecundate. At least that's what it's supposed to be. And not too much talk is going on. There are some channels that I've come across that are talking about that, and I was grateful to see it because I knew I couldn't be the only person thinking this. So shout out to the channels that I came across that have spoken about it, or just the people in general who have been having the same kind of perspective. But I think we need to be looking at Malik Scott as a trainer, at JD's and the other men in his camp, but particularly his head trainer, Malik Scott, because essentially what the sub team does is take order and direction from him. He kind of sets the war strategy up, and the other team members implement what the head trainer says, and they kind of work and bounce off ideas off each other, and strategize based off of the head. So Malik is his oh my God, he's a disappointment. I think the disappointment award goes to Malik Scott 1,000%, because I'm not only referring to this fight, I'm referring to the last fight, the last two fights, because Wilder looked wobbly and just out of sorts until he managed to, while on the back foot, throw a right hand at Hellenius in the fight previous to this one. And prior to that, the Wilder Fury trilogy, that third fight, Wilder came out looking okay in the first round or so, but by the second round, he was just completely out of breath. Had no legs, wasn't throwing any. We all know what kind of a spectacle that was. But I'm just thinking about Malik Scott and how, I just got to say it, how terrible of a trainer he is. I'm not even sure if I can call him a trainer. And I know that, there's the old tale about kind of Deontay's inability to implement direction, the issues that were possibly arising between him and Breland, and Breland supposedly having had issues with giving instructions and things like that. And, the old tale about how maybe it may be a factor that it's because Deontay is difficult to work with. But in this situation, he seems very malleable to me because, according to them, he and Malik, they have a very strong relationship. I'd even go as far as to say like a spiritual brotherhood that they've been building over however long of a course of time. And so that would, to me, mean that he would be more susceptible, Deontay, to the instruction and the direction and the advice and guidance of Malik Scott. It wouldn't make sense when you have that type of a basis of a connection with somebody, in a relationship with somebody, that you would resist, the guidance of the person that you trust and the person that you've hired to guide you in this particular arena. So it doesn't make sense to me that that would be such the case in this instance between Deontay and Malik that he would just, revert to being a mule kind of thing. You can't teach him anything. It's not, it doesn't make sense. It's not logical to me, such resistance from somebody that he considers his brother, his family, his right-hand man. So I don't find that to be plausible. So I throw that theory out to the wind. I just think that Malik is not effective because we have not seen any progression in Deontay Wilder since the third fight with Tyson Fury. I believe that's the fight he signed on to fight him in. Yes, that third fight, because he was at Breland for the first two. Is Malik Scott a worthwhile trainer? He talks a good game. But is he a valuable asset to get Deontay, if let's say Deontay were to continue in the future, which I'm hoping that he does. But ultimately, I'm hoping for what's best for his health and his mentality. So whatever decision he decides to go with, he'll go with. But in the event that he were to say, yes, I want to continue and I want to keep fighting such and such and such, checking off names off his list, that would be fantastic. But if he continued, would he be in a state of progression with Malik Scott? That's the real question. We have to look at that. There are such things called that are called Trainer of the Year, right? And so it's a coveted title for any trainer, that's working with the boxer, because it's an acknowledgement, of course, of their achievements that were shown and proved in the ring by the boxer that they are training. So all the hard work that they go throughout training camp after training camp, extensive sessions, extensive video watching, extensive studying, extensive analysis, extensive breaking down a fighter, extensive building up a fighter, all the things that go into the makings of a fighter, a great fighter, behind the scenes that we don't necessarily get to see. The hardcore days, the early mornings, the road work, all of that, heavy bag, sparring sessions, back to back to back, getting busted up, all types of things, the breaking down of the body, the breaking down of the mind, all of these things that happen within a training camp to a fighter and within their team. This is what's celebrated when a trainer gets the coveted Trainer of the Year award. It's very, very, it speaks for itself, the weight of such a achievement. Right. So with that being said, the trainer's work is revered. It isn't anything to be put on a back burner or on the side table under the mattress somewhere, tucked away and hidden away. No, a trainer's work is very, very pivotal. It's a generalship, of a mind to be able to implement strategy and to see it through. What the fuck is Malik Scott doing that has a value of a coveted trainer, of a good trainer, of a decent trainer? We really got to talk about that. We really got to look at him and these last three fights. Day of Reckoning, Hellenius, Fury 3. We really got to look at that. And without the knockout of Robert Hellenius on the table, I posit that you go back and watch what Deontay was doing in that ring. And you tell me if he looked technically sound, if he looked well-trained, if he looked like he knew his way around, like he was establishing some type of generalship, like he was, boxing. You tell me. Because from what I saw, none of that was present, even though it was only, a few minutes, because it only lasted that round prior to that right hand landing, which looked like it just so happened to land, by the way. He was trying to evade and just looked like he'd wind up swinging that right hand and got him square in the face. But prior to that, and really analyze that. But I think it begs the question of reason and understanding and analysis for clarity, because I don't think that Malik Scott is of any value to Deontay Wilder. And what I would like to see if Deontay were to continue forward with his career, which I don't think is likely, but this is my thoughts. I share my observations. I would like to see him move on. Malik Scott want to be his cheerleader, his hype man on the side or whatever. That is what that is. But as far as a trainer, I think that Deontay Wilder needs a serious trainer who knows what they're doing. Malik talks a good goddamn game. That's what he does. He wants to come across as some encyclopedia of boxing and and yes, and I saw the footwork and the movements of the science of the. It's like, bro, like, stop the fucking talk, because all of this science of the sweet boxing notions that you want to sit up here and so eloquently spew on this microphone to whatever platform you're talking to, none of that is exemplified in anything that Deontay Wilder has done in the ring his past 3 fights. So you can miss me with all of that bullshit. That's real talk. All this eloquence is not translating into footwork, into concrete, into materialization. None of it is. And he has to be really, really dissected. I wish more people on these platforms like Fight Hype and whatever these other channels are, I can't think of them right now, they're all going off on Deontay Wilder, and it's understandable because we watched him perform, and I'm right there with him because I was also analyzing him and looking at the lackluster performance, the non-giving, basically the confusion he had in the ring. But why does he have that confusion? Why is he lackluster in the ring? There's a reason. He is not training properly. And why is he not training properly? Because he's not being trained properly. Like, this is not brain surgery. Like, this is common sense. You don't get in the ring and look like that if you are within the fundamentals of your study, of your craft. He's not putting his fundamentals to work. And why? Because he doesn't have people around him who are serious about his education as far as boxing is concerned. He doesn't have any scholars around him. He doesn't have any, and if he does, if you want to give it to Jade, the Jade guy, JD, I believe his name is JD's, who has been with him for a long time. Maybe he tries to implement what he tries to implement, but it's not, he's not at the forefront anymore, and so whatever he may be trying to implement is not quite as effective because he's not in the lead. He's not in the lead seat. He's kind of assistant or whatever the hell, second in command, which is very, very disheartening. It's very disheartening because we know the type of talent, sheer raw talent that Deontay has and that he brings. He's a powerful man. He's very commanding. We know him for his presence. We know him for his power. We know him for his heart. And what we saw at the Day of Reckoning, there was no heart there. There was just a sense of, okay, well, let me do my best to try not to get knocked out. Lord, please, Lord, let me not get knocked out. That's what we watched. We were not watching heart. We were not watching heart at all. And that's what's devastating to me. That's what's devastating to me, because if Deontay had gotten out there and if he would have really fought the way we know he fights, the way he fought in the past, with all his being, that pepper, that sauce, that swag, it's like, whatever. I'm here and I'm going to get you. You know what I mean? If we saw that show up to the table and he lost, that would have been the fulfillment. That would have been everything to say, yo, nobody can question Deontay's heart. Like we used to say, he goes out on his shield. You know what I mean? He's a warrior. It is what it is. Call it what you want. He's not whatever you want him to be. He's not Lennox Lewis with the feet. He's not Evander Holyfield with the technicality and the precision and the all of that. But, he's Deontay, and he fought his motherfucking ass off. We can't say that because none of that showed up to the table. I don't know what the fuck that was. And that's what's disheartening. And there's a reason for that. And it's not only his personal issues that he's most likely has been dealing with for or whatever amount of time. Because I heard something recently that he had contemplated suicide or tried to attempt a suicide some time ago or whatever. But, and not to mention the ayahuasca and the sense of peace that he says he's found now. Of course, all of that is on the table. That's not to negate any of those, bits of information that he shared. But what we really also need to consider is the team, his foundation that he's standing on. Malik Scott is not somebody that is war ready. He's not somebody who is capable, in my opinion, of preparing someone for battle. He could sit down and watch all the tapes that he wants. He can talk about all the fights that he's loved growing up. He can tell you all the things that he's worked on with Deontay as far as footwork and drills. I heard him talk about, Mark Breland, our styles are completely different. I never knew Mark Breland to put Deontay in drills, but me. All of my work that I do with him, I have been giving him drills and blah, blah, blah. It's like your fucking drills are not proving and it's not showing anything of value whatsoever. At least he was fucking throwing a jab with Breland. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that, I need Breland back, but it's like you need somebody by your side that is going to sharpen your sword, not motherfucking dulling it, not do away with it. Not, you have to be built up. If you are not learning, you are not growing. And if you're not growing, you're dead. You're dead. And it's just we saw the amalgamation of that principle in the ring with him at the Day of Reckoning. It was just non-growth. It was non-materialization. It was barren. He had no answers to what Parker was doing. He had no footwork. He had no jab. If you don't have a jab, you don't have a fucking fight. The jab is the ruler. It's the compass that'll guide any and all fighters. It's the compass. If you don't have that, you have no direction. It's like what's happening here? But I think we need to put a lot more weight on Malik Scott as a boxing community in our dialogues, because this motherfucker has been thinking that whatever he's been doing so far has been fine. And he could just sit back with his fucking cigar on these channels and just, sit up there trying to look like damn Scarface, talking as eloquently as he would like to speak, but not motherfucking providing anything to the table as far as his fight is concerned. With all the love and all the admiration and brotherhood that you say you have with Deontay Wilder, you are doing nothing to better this man, and shame on you for wasting this man's time, his money, and his legacy. That needs to be spoken about, because that's the real talk. Anyway, on to the next. Peace.